Okay, going to look at some headlock escapes. It's my neck. Twist me to the floor. Second variation. Twist me to the floor. Third variation. Okay, each one of those we just looked at were variations of what we call the framing escape. Framing meaning that I create a strong structure with my skeleton against his neck when he's applying a headlock. We started from the knees just to avoid a hard impact, which is a good way to see how you might land in that position when somebody grabs your head and twists you to the floor. So, first thing I want to think about, if he's grabbing my neck and I'm feeling that I'm going to be on the bottom, he's throwing me, I just want to get my elbows in and be sideways. So my goal is I'm trying to land, stay still, flat on my back, but rather sideways and tuck my chin, okay? And this way, you're not taking 100% of that weight on your neck. And although uncomfortable, you can survive, you can still breathe, and can still manipulate your body and make an effective escape. So by the time he lands in a headlock, he's got a hold of my head. Look, I'm already sideways, tucking my chin, all right? In this particular movement, each time that he did it, his head was up. So he's kind of sitting back, really like lifting on your head in the headlock. This is going to be the ideal time for the frame. So my far hand goes right here on the soft part of his neck, and this hand reinforces. So the point here is he shouldn't be able to turn his hips and put his weight down on you anymore. Go ahead and turn. Can you turn your chest to the floor? See, he's being blocked by my arms. It's kind of uncomfortable on him, okay? So now, the only thing that's really keeping him up is my legs. If we turn to the side a little bit, the only thing keeping him up is my legs back here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my legs kind of out of the equation here. So if we keep turning towards the camera, keep turning. What I'm going to do is, as I hold him still here, I'm going to move my hips away, and now there's a big space for him to fall into. I'm going to throw my legs up and latch onto his head. And use this momentum to ride him up. Now, he's still got my neck. What I want to do is uncross my legs, and now I go to the position we looked at previously here. Okay, so whichever finish you want to do for the headlock counter from the mount position. You get to the position, make your frame. This time I go for the arm lock, and you make your finish. Okay? So, if you have questions on the finish, just review the previous lesson on headlock counters from the mount position. Okay? But this will lead you into that position so you can start to kind of combine and connect the moves. Alright? So that's the first one. Second one, what happens is I'll do the exact same thing, but when he feels that wrap, that control of my legs around his head, he gets a little freaked out and he lets go of my head. So that gives me an option to finish with a choke right from that position. Okay, it's called the leg scissor choke. So let's look at it here. He takes me down. I still make my same frame. I want to test and see if he can change his hips and put his weight forward. He shouldn't be able to turn his chest down. Can you turn?
Yeah.
Right. So now what you want to do is same thing. Scoot your hip away. Okay, scoot your hip away. And now you're going to throw the legs up, just like before, but this time, once he feels this, he lets go of my head. So look where we land. I've got his arm here, okay? And if you turn your feet towards the wall, his head is trapped inside of my legs. So what I'm going to do here is make an adjustment so that my knee is right behind his neck, and my other knee is on front of his throat. And what I do here is simply cross my ankles, and rather than, I don't curl my legs, what I do is I straighten my legs out. He's going to feel a very fast choke right there, okay? If you raise up real quick. The part of my leg that I'm using is very important. If I use the soft tissue of my leg, the choke is going to be very ineffective. So there's a bone right here at the knee joint, which is very protruding and very hard in relation to the muscle tissue of your leg. You're trying to make his neck rest on that bone, and your opposite leg is coming in front of his neck on that side. That's a very important step to have the choke be successful. Let's look at that one more time. So, let's take it from this angle. All right, I establish my frame, move my hips back, legs up. Now here, see, I feel like my thigh is a little bit deep around his neck, so what I can do is get up on my elbow and make a little adjustment here with my leg. You see, now I scooted my bottom leg into a better position. I simply cross the ankles and straighten, okay? Now, even though you have that game plan to finish with a choke, sometimes he sees it coming, he reacts, maybe you didn't do it just right, you didn't hit your knee just in the perfect spot. He tucks his chin and kind of looks away from you, so you end up more just squeezing his head, crushing his head. So you have a final variation, a final option from that position now. So what I'll do here is, if I go for the choke and I'm squeezing, 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 seconds squeezing, I don't want to exhaust myself. A lot of times also he'll have his hands locked in real tight here. So he feels really strong. So what I'm going to do in this case is I'm sitting up on my elbow. I'm going to let go of the choke and transition to an arm lock. We'll look at this from a couple angles. What I do is when I'm up on my elbow, there's now a space between my elbow and his back. So the bottom leg, the one that was on the bottom of his neck, is going to go inside that space. My knee is going to occupy that space. I'm going to rotate my knee up. Here's what it's going to look like. I turn over a little bit. I keep a little hamstring contraction here to control his head. I turn over to my belly slightly, and that creates a gap for my knee to slide through the space. Now I want to rotate my knee up. Okay, here he's bending his arm really well, so what I'll do is I'm going to grab that far arm, the one he's helping to assist, and I'm going to lean towards his head, and I'm going to place my foot all the way around. Bam. Okay, so now I've got a good control of the torso. Now I start getting high on his forearm, get that V-grip going, and I lean at an angle. I generally don't want to pull straight back. His arm is very strong that way, but as I lean at an angle towards his head, I start to really stretch his shoulder, and then I'll start to arch my back and move in a circle. Once his grip breaks, I'm going to go both hands on the arm, straighten out, and then get this great arm lock. Okay? So we've got a little bit different angle here. So let's say face the, let's do it this way. Right? 1, slide back, legs up. He's really strong here. I didn't do a good job with my leg choke, so I'm going to transition for this arm. Okay, so notice here, I'm up on my elbow. That creates a space. If I'm flat, I won't have any space to slide my knee under. So as I sit up on my elbow, my bottom leg is going to slide in. My top leg gives me a little hamstring contraction to control his head while I'm doing the movement. I'm going to turn over slightly, and my knee slides through the space, and then I turn my knee up. Okay? Hug the far arm, pull it to me, lean towards his head, and get your foot over. Okay? Now, look at his hand. You see how now I don't know if you guys can see from there, but now the arm that I'm attacking is on the bottom side. Previously it was on maybe a little bit different position. If his hand is this way, it's much easier for me to lean towards his leg. So leaning at an angle towards his head or his leg will be the same result. Okay? As long as you're not pulling straight back, it's fine. So look, I get kind of close to the wrist, and this time I'm going to lean towards his legs. I'm going to get the same result. Watch. Bam. And then you can finalize with the arm lock. Okay? So that's called the framing escape from the headlock. Framing headlock escape.